Hi, I'm Liz Larson with The Art of Frosting. And it's time for all of those holiday parties, school parties, times when a decorator is really busy and needs some super quick things to throw together, whether for it's a hostess gift or her own party. So this is a cute one, really quick. It's a small cake. There's lots of fun things to do in here, so let's get started. So I'm starting with two 6-inch squares stacked. Now this whole setup may look familiar to you if you saw the gift package cake. We used the same setup. So I want to show you just a little trick that I'm using here. This is our chimney, and I've got some red on my spatula, and I'm actually going to add just a little bit of white into that. We're almost going to do what's like a dry brushing technique. I'm going to stipple a little bit. And our chimney, we want it to be an old chimney. So you see where I wiped most of it off? And we just want to spread that back and forth. So we get some red and some white and some dark red in there. And you want to leave it a little bit rough because these are going to be bricks. So I've started adding the mortar. And you could make this perfectly straight and even and neat, or you can make it messy. I kind of want it to look a little cartoony. So I'm just using a little zigzag. I want it to be a very uneven zigzag. That's the difficult part, is we're so used to making things even and straight that sometimes it's hard to get it a little uneven. So just come on in. You can make them as big or as small of bricks as you want. Just make sure you're making your bricks offset. This is your design. You can make it however you want it to be. So to handle the corner here, you just want to come around the side, continue on, and then see where the brick would naturally go. So it looks like this one would come to about here and then come on around. So just make sure that it matches up with the pattern, whichever pattern you're using. Switched out for a larger number 12 figure piping tip here. And with my white, I just want to come in and I'm going to do a bigger kind of random zigzag because I want the top edge of this to look like snow. So I've come back in with my number 4 writer again, and I'm just going to come in, put the tip inside this puffiness here, start to squeeze, build, and release, and you'll get a nice icicle tip. So when I'm talking about releasing, I'm talking about letting go of your bag, letting go of your pressure control. So get in there and squeeze and release. So we're making the boots, and I'm making them out of a large marshmallow. You know how I like these giant marshmallows. I'm going to cut down about 2/3 of the way down in, and then I want to cut a V into it, so a point. So we're going to make him have little elf boots. See the point on the end? And then we just want to cut the heel out. So just a little snip there, and another triangle back up in here. So, and you just need a regular pair of scissors. These happen to be a large pair of kitchen scissors, but regular scissors will do. So there's your little boot. We're going to stick a skewer down in. These are long, skinny bamboo skewers. And then I've got some candy melt here, and you may need to thin it a little bit. This is kind of just dip it down in. And there you go. There, you've got your Santa boot. You want to let all the excess drip off. And you can use your, the dry beans or dry rice in a cup trick so that you can stick the skewer down in and they can hang upside down. Or an old egg crate works really great too. Just want to let that dry. And we'll move on to the legs and butt. Moving on to Santa's legs now, and I've pre-pierced my giant marshmallow. And if you don't have giant marshmallows in your area, you could also make this out of a cake pop dough. That would work out perfectly. I've skewered it through it as a diagonal. Now the reason I want to skewer it through in advance is so that I can get it off here, because I'm going to want to put it back on this skewer. So you want to move it down, make sure that hole's pretty big, and just dip it right in your candy melt. You want to let the candy melt drip off all the excess. Now I'm pre-set up here. I've got an egg crate here, crate that comes when you buy your eggs, and I've pre-punched holes here, and it's working great to hold up my candy melt skewer. So there's no worry about drips or anything like that. I can just throw it away when I'm done, and it holds it up great. I'm gonna put a piece of parchment down just in case my marshmallow slides. I don't want it to stick. Let that dry and move on to the next. Moving on now to Santa's Fanny, and I've just got some bright red icing here, and I've just darkened the icing that we used for the chimney, and we want to just cover it. And I've got a 4-inch round here. It's going to seem a little big when you first put it on, but I wanted it to be big so it really looks like his Fanny is a little too heavy to go down the chimney, and that's why he's stuck. So we're going to ice that up, and we want to round the edges. So begin to round your edges like this. With your spatula, just rounding, continuing to turn, making sure all your surfaces are nice and covered. We'll come back in with our handy dandy Ziploc bag and smooth just a little bit more. Adding just a little touch more icing to one side and kind of give him really the shape of a little bum. I think that'll be kind of funny. Just using my Ziploc bag end and smoothing. This should just take a couple of minutes. Get it as smooth as you like. And we'll move on to setting him on top of the cake. For those of you who do have an airbrush, this is a fun way to get a little more intensity of color, as well as to get the shape that you want. I'm gonna highlight his little Fanny here just a little by making a circle around where the cheeks are and not quite filling them in. Also, this is a way to get a more intense Christmas red without a lot more taste. I'm using an Americolor airbrush color. It's just a liquid airbrush color. You can do the same by just thinning down your regular colors, your regular gel paste colors. That'll work too. But this is just one more layer of dimension for those of you working in a shop or do have an airbrush. Now it's time to place our little Santa Fanny. This is where you really need an offset spatula, a spatula that has a little L shape. You need to be able to release this small cake. Now, these are very small cakes. This is a 6 and this is a 4. So I don't need a doweling and a board under here, but I do have dowels in here. Any bigger than this and you need dowels and a board underneath. So I'm just going to really get an idea of where I want to place him first. I want to place him at a diagonal here because that's the way I have my platter set up. And gently let it drop down on it. So now we want to place our boots with our skewer. So we've got our leg here. We want to gently pull that off our skewer and place it back on this one, like so, out like that. And I've got my flower cutting scissors here, and I want to trim this skewer down by about 3 inches. I want about 3 inches off. Choose your position here, and you can use your hand down to about so far. Then you need to come back in with your scissors and push that down in the rest of the way. Now position your leg, kind of squish it down in the icing a little, and you want to let your boot stick up a little bit. You're going to leave space here because we want to put his white ruffle around the bottom there. So next I want to come in, I've got my number 22 or larger star tip, and I'm just going to create a zigzag all around the base for the bottom of his jacket. I'm going to do the same here at the base of his boot, but we're going to do a lift like this. So you're going to be above. See how I've got a ledge there? All the way up. And underneath his boot. To put just a dot there behind the boot. So we're pretty much done with our Santa and his boots and legs. You can see how quickly that went. It's really quick. And since you guys know more is more for me, I just want to add a little bit of holly. and some holly berries. So I've got a number 67 leaf tip here, and I'm just going to hold it flat against the cake and do a zigzag like this. Pull and release will give me my tip, and back up this way. There we go. And 3 dots. So I just got a bag of my red, cut just the tip out. Give me 3 dots, and there's just a little holly. And I'll add just a little more here. I'm going to add just a little bit of holly around different locations on the cake so that no matter which way you turn it, your cake looks finished. So it can be set on the table from the front and the back, and it'll still be cute. So we did it. That was a lot of fun. What do you think? I'm so impressed with myself with these little boots and the marshmallow trick. I really like that. So make sure you send me your pictures on Facebook if you do this one. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. You can find me at theartoffrosting.blogspot.com, where I share your work, my work, and Leah's work. Also, you can now find me at Curious, where there's a 10-lesson beginning cake decorating course.